All right, what's up, everybody? This is episode 6 of the Overcut podcast, where we're going to discuss the Miami GP
USA,
that took place this weekend. First American race of the season. So we got all the US fans showing support for their week of their Netflix sport that they
That's
they just
right.
found.
and all of the purists hating every second
No,
of
see,
it.
but yeah, whatever. I'm gonna get right into that. But let's introduce ourselves. So you got me, LG, you got Mike,
Europe.
and then you got Joe.
Yo.
So we're just going to discuss the weekend. But first, I want to start off with you guys have been watching F1 for a little bit now. Are there any fans that annoy you now?
The purist.
What?
So Lonnie. So Mike hates Lonnie. Got it.
Anything that any small change, they hate. Every second of it. Anything that makes the sport bigger, they're like, no, this isn't true to the sport. It's not true to the sport.
I don't hate that part. I don't hate that part.
I hate every new track. Every new track that comes on, hate it.
What I hate is I hate like tracks that aren't racetracks. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
too many.
I like the Austin track because it was built to be a racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
Like a track like Miami, you're just trying to make a racetrack out of something. You know what I'm saying? Like, Austin was built to have built for it to be a racetrack. There's runoffs everywhere. There's dirt everywhere. Like the corners are just all that stuff is just laid out in a way like a racetrack should be. Like it go like thought went into it. Like somebody's drawing up. Like, okay, we're gonna have a passing zone here. Then it'll be a hard braking section right after that. But when a track that's made in a parking lot, you're just like, all right, well, we only got like 300 feet here, so we gotta do something here. So it just, I don't know. All those, like a lot of those things just seem like a money grab to me. So that's the
Oh,
thing.
for sure.
Especially they're all just a money grab at this point.
It's the American way, man.
Mm-hmm. The only people I don't like are the people who say that America shouldn't have 3 races. That's the only thing. I'm fine with anything else. But come on. Really, you got a problem with that? So that,
it really was weird to have a race start at 3 p.m. Well, 3:30. Wasn't it 3:30?
3:30.
3 o'clock?
Yeah.
3:30.
It was a little weird. I was like all day anticipating. I was like, I kind of miss it being early in the morning.
Well, at least it's not during football season. For me, during NFL season, if we had the Miami GP, no thanks. Not happy about that at all.
I thought that I would like having the race come on in like the afternoon until it actually came on, and I was like, God, it was like in the middle of the day. It was like,
it's true.
Like, this is trash.
Kind of ruined your whole day.
It's like it's 3:30. It was like,
especially this race, having this boring ass race in the middle of your day.
It's like, what is this? This is like playoff basketball on. It was just like
I was watching both.
Same.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get into the race review, we want to talk about the grid walk, probably the most exciting thing that happened on Sunday.
I think I look forward to it the most for the American, especially now that we have 3 American races. It's going to be wonderful every time.
Yeah. I was not used to coverage starting an hour before the race started. So that was already draw one to me. I was just like, oh yeah, it's gonna be crazy. So yeah, what did y'all think about Martin's grid walk?
Impressive as always.
I mean, he nails it. He's awkward, but it's amazing.
You gotta love how he bogarts everybody. It's like, hey, excuse me, minute. I just need a minute. He's screaming at everybody, but he doesn't know who everybody is, so it's that makes it better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like how the teams like don't pay him any mind. Like he's just like walking over their hoses and all that.
I saw that.
Like, it's just like they're blowing fans on the car, and Martin's just walking right through it, just like, guy, man. But only Martin would be able to get away with it, with just like walking through like the teams while they're trying to prep the car for the
Well,
race.
it's funny that he's able to walk, right past the team, as you said, over those hoses, and then there's this area where security has blocked off that even he can't get through. That didn't make any sense to me. He's got the ultimate access. He's the one from Sky Sports. That was kind of the wildest part to me. After, of course, he met up with Paolo Banchero again. Thank God that
Patrick
happened.
Mahomes, you mean?
I'm not really sure. I'm not sure even if Martin Brundle was sure which one it was, but they met up again. And they.
My question is, have you ever seen Paolo and Patrick Mahomes in the same place at the same time? So how do you know? How do you know?
I don't think.
How do you know they're not the same person?
I don't think the quarterback of the Chiefs ever goes to Orlando Magic games. So you're right. I mean, there's no way they ever cross paths.
Yeah, or to Orlando.
They may be giving Kansas City too much credit, though. Hopefully, nobody from Kansas City is listening. That wasn't it.
Well, see you next week, guys.
You got great barbecue.
No, I loved it. I really don't make a point to watch the grid walk every week. But as I said, like the American ones I do because of how good it was last year. Him pushing past Dwayne Wade and Gabby Union to get to people. And then he's talking to some guy no one's ever heard of, but he's trying to make it into a good, like he does a really good job. Like I'm not hating on him at all because he's not from America. So he doesn't know these only American like stars. But I probably don't care as much unless it's like Monaco, like Mike was saying Monaco, like that was a lot of fun. But the American ones are going to be so good because of this exact reason, with Paolo Banchero standing behind Lonnie like that photo is. Just because if anyone didn't see it last year, that's from when Martin Brundle thought he was talking to Patrick Mahomes 100% for at least a minute, at least a full minute.
Oh my gosh, that was
the crazy part is they probably don't even know who he is.
Yeah,
so like who is this guy? Who's this guy from the British media who's trying to talk to me?
Got a microphone and a camera.
And that's a problem with the new fans. The new fans don't know who Martin Brundle is. Like, how do you not know who Martin Brundle is?
Man, they're there for the look. They're not there for the race.
It's true. Yeah. Their finest silk shirt. Was DJ Khaled there? If he wasn't, he should have been.
Yes, he definitely was.
Okay.
He definitely was.
There's nothing going to happen in Miami that DJ Khaled is not going to be at.
Good.
So, yeah. Did y'all see, what was it with Martin? What did he do? I'm drawing a blank now. Dang. No, did you hear what Martin said? Like, everybody might not have heard it, but I heard it, and he was just like, they all think they're famous. Did you hear him?
No, but that's why I love him so much. He'll do the little comments as he's walking.
I was like, Martin getting spicy.
He gives us almost a color commentary of what he's seeing when he's walking in between people to talk to.
Yeah, he was walking when he was saying, he's like, oh, they all think they're famous. So I was like, gosh. I was like, Martin doesn't give a hoot, man.
I mean, when you're that old and you're that prestigious in the sport, it doesn't matter what you say. Mm-hmm. He can get away with anything.
Yeah, and he's been doing that a long time. Just because I haven't been watching it doesn't mean he hasn't been out there in the trenches trying to get interviews with Roger Federer, and then, they got to go to commercial like it ended up happening or whatever happened.
Well, I like it when he goes to talk, like he's talking to somebody who's working on the car and he's like asking them questions. They're like, maybe I'm get out of here. Like, we got work to do. He's asking about car setups and how they feel like the race is going to go today. And they're like, yo, go on. The driver has things to do.
The drivers always seem like the ones who are the most annoyed by
I was going to ask you that if it was just me figuring that or not. When he was talking to Lance Stroll, I was like, man, it seems like Lance really doesn't want to be doing this. So the drivers really don't like him either.
I don't think it's a thing where they don't like him. I think they just don't like. I think it's just the timing for them because they're trying to usually, like a lot of times they're getting debriefed before the race right there on the grid too, and they're trying to. I mean, you gotta. Something has to go inside you mentally where you have to kind of get into like the mindset about I'm about to race this like
a car at 200 miles an hour,
like the next hour and a half.
Yeah,
you don't want to talk about Martin. You don't want to answer Martin Brundle's question about what happened in Q3.
I'm picturing like Nick Saban right before the game, or like Greg Popovich in between quarters. Like that's how they feel.
Yeah, it's like
That's my
Saban going to halftime. It's like Saban going to halftime at Tennessee down 7.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, it makes more sense now.
So yeah, but I guess you got to talk about, if you can't talk about the grid walk without talking about Martin getting stopped at that line where it's just nobody can get by, and he goes and tells Jackie Stewart that they won't let me in. They're trying to talk to Roger Federer, and Jackie says, "Hold my beer."
His fedora or whatever. Oh
Yeah.
god.
Jackie lifts up the rope, goes under the rope,
and takes on 2 security guards.
Yeah, just walks on by. Like, how tall is Jackie Stewart? He's not a very tall,
5'7",
imposing
5'8".
man. So
You might be giving him some grace with
Yeah,
5'7",
exactly.
5'8".
let's see. I want to look it up because I want to see.
And he's like 80.
Yeah,
And
he's
you
an old man.
can't he's like, you can't beat him up.
Jackie Stewart is 5'4".
Oh, shit.
So he's not a very tall man. So
No.
security tries to grab him up, and he's just like, sure,
Unhanded
hands
himself.
off me.
You can, because again, the camera is on Jackie Stewart from like what, like 15 minutes, 15
Yeah.
feet away or something. You can see him going like pointing at Roger Federer, like, I'm trying to get to him. I'm trying to get to
And
him.
they're trying to push him back, and the whole time he's just like, get out of the way. And he just
But when he grabbed
Roger
Federer's arm, I was like, oh my God. He just strong armed that man to get him to do an interview that they couldn't even do because they had to go to commercial.
Well, I think I like that the most because we're getting Martin Brundle's commentary. He's like, oh, we only have 20 seconds left. And he's
15
still,
seconds.
Jackie's still, yeah, we don't have anything. Yeah. We're going to run out of time. And then Roger's walking over after Martin Brundle said, oh, we're running out of time. It's
Because I think
good.
George Russell actually stopped him to speak to him before he was able to actually turn around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you what was it? He only got like one question in with Roger. What it was just like, who you pulling for today?
Was that it? I didn't even end up hearing.
Yeah, he got
I
one
didn't even hear the
question
question. I thought they
He
had
got
cut it
one
off.
question in, and Roger was just like, I'm pulling for Mercedes, pulling for Lewis and George today. That's all. That's about all he got in.
So glad we got that out of Roger. Yeah.
Yeah. But did y'all hear him? Did y'all hear what he said about what they told him about Tom Cruise?
Mm-mm.
He said I was given very specific instructions to not ask Tom Cruise any questions today.
I need more of that. I need more insight about who he's not allowed. I did hear him say, he was again commentating as he walked by the Williams sisters. He was like, "Oh, I don't think I can deal with that problem again this year." And he walked by Serena, didn't even talk to her. Because remember last year, Venus and Serena was super awkward at the.
Yeah, it was just really awkward. Like they didn't know who he was.
They didn't know who he was.
They thought that they were a way bigger deal than he was. So you know how American celebrities are.
I mean, Serena Williams might be up there.
She was in Monaco. I remember seeing her in Monaco.
She's arguably the best athlete to ever walk Earth. And
Serena Williams at an F1 race versus Martin Brundle at an F1 race, though.
I mean, that's true.
Hey, those purists don't watch tennis, all right?
But yeah, that was
the most exciting part of the weekend.
Besides Charles wrecking twice.
Sparks everywhere.
So yeah, Charles wrecked in free practice 2.
Free practice Friday.
And Q3.
And Q3.
Yeah.
And it was bad Q3 though. He was on it though. I give him that. That man has no fear.
Yeah, but he's always wrecking the cars.
He's got a little Mick in him, a little Mick Schumacher.
Hopefully it's not that bad.
I mean, we were talking about Mick wrecking cars over and over again, and what's happening, Charles?
Yeah, that's not a good look. It's not a
good
look.
Yeah, so I guess we can get into the race review now. So, of course, after you had Charles wreck in Q3, it kind of screwed the order up. So, Max ended up starting at 9th after Sergio got the pole. But Max's starting in 9th was kind of his doing because he had the mistake on his first run and he had to abort the lap. So it was kind of on him that he made that mistake and finished it and came in ninth, which I was shocked that he didn't complain more about that. But I think he just knew that he had made that mistake. It was his fault.
Yeah, because they really didn't talk about it.
Yeah, it was like nobody else got a second run either.
Yeah.
It was just everybody had gone off their first run.
I just think that he knew that regardless, he had the car to beat them.
Yeah, I mean, we all knew he would get to second real quick. I just honestly didn't think that he would be so close to Sergio the entire time, but then we saw what happened.
Yeah, I think he knew he made the mistake and knew that, you know what, I got to live with it, but I had the car to at least finish second.
Yeah. But if you look at like the times throughout the weekend, he was like easily faster than Sergio, like all weekend.
Right.
Like throughout practice, through the first two qualifyings, I think that had something to do with him not being too
concerned,
not being too worried either.
Yeah.
But so of course you had Sergio starting on the pole with Fernando and Carlos top three. The start of the race is pretty. I thought it was good. I thought we may have some chaos at the beginning because of that first turn is so tight.
Yeah.
Well, it was a bunch of opposite teams. Like I think those first 6 or 7 cars were all different constructors, right?
I think it was 6. Yeah, the first 6 because Leclerc started 7th, right? Yeah.
So I was thinking that'll be a little bit more touching and getting close to each other in that first turn.
You thought it was gonna be Magnussen, didn't you?
Yeah, I kind of wished it would.
Well, I told y'all I just gave away $5 by saying Carlos Sainz was going to be leading after lap 1. I was like, here, sportsbook, you can take my money. I was like, yeah, see what happens.
Yeah.
I thought Magnussen was gonna just like bury into that corner and try and do something crazy. If I could have betted that a safety car was going to come out in lap 1, I would have took that bet.
Yeah.
What DeVries?
Man.
Yeah.
Hey, you finished the race.
Hey, yeah.
Finished the race.
Finished. So yeah, nothing really happened on that first lap. Everything went pretty straightforward. Perez ended up leading the first lap. I lost on that bet because I had Fernando leading the first lap. Max actually lost one spot on the start to Ocon, and for a quick second I thought it was like, oh, is Max in trouble today?
I was hoping, boy.
And then your boy Piastri gained 5 spots on lap 1 for McLaren, which I thought was big for them. 5 spots in 1 lap is.
Well, it proved that the soft tire was good to start on, but as we saw, I mean, it wasn't going to last at all, especially with all the fuel in the car at the beginning of the race.
I think they lasted. Lando pitted lap 6.
Sheesh.
So, and Piastri pit right after him. So they both got lap 6. They got those softs off because they were brutal.
Yeah, I like the Hail Mary. I guess that's what you call it. You know, you do that when you know you don't have good race pace or whatever else. But it didn't work. But still, I like trying something.
Gotta try.
Yeah,
gotta try.
Yeah, you gotta try something, I guess. But so yeah. So then Max starts to get his footing under him a little bit. He goes by Charles and Magnussen on the front straight.
That was a beautiful pass.
With each other.
That was a great pass. They battled each other. He cut inside, and it honestly reminds me of what I'm used to seeing Lewis Hamilton do. I've seen him do that a few times, and it looks good when you're seeing 2 cars fight, and you're like, oh, no, excuse me.
Get out of my way, please.
I did like the angle because the camera angle was from like at the end of the straight, so we saw him like come out around them. But I mean, we just know. I keep calling it a space shuttle. I don't know if that's right or not, but we just know that as soon as the DRS opens, like there's no rocket contest, and there he went. So,
over.
Yeah, it's a rocket.
So yeah, I think that was the move of the race at that point.
I think so. Yeah.
He could have easily gotten hung up behind him because if they were kept passing each other back and forth and just like both of them having DRS and him having DRS behind them, it could have easily turned into a DRS train for a little bit there because the straights aren't that long there.
I was going to ask you that, like, if this, because obviously Baku last time and then this race, they have relatively long straights. If we're at a track where there's not that, could Max actually get stuck? Because again, still any kind of DRS zone, he's going to have a big advantage. But
I think he could, as long as the car in front of him has it too.
Also has it, right? Okay.
Yeah, if the car in front of him has it, I think he could get stuck like that. But I think that's why you saw such a sense of urgency with him trying to get past both of them at the same time.
Okay.
You know, because like he knows that he's got the fastest car. Like he said, he said earlier in the season, he doesn't feel like he has to take those kind of chances.
Mm-hmm. No risk. Yeah,
the car has it. But I think that he knew that he could lose some time there, so he wanted to get that move done quick.
Mm-hmm.
So once he gets past them, lap 7 already, Max is setting fastest laps
on the hard tire.
Yeah, right, we didn't talk about. Yeah, he started on hards, and everybody in front of him. Well, not everybody, but most of the
everybody
top.
But McLaren.
Everybody so they were all on mediums. Okay, and he was on the hards in 9th. Okay.
Yep, him. Was it Lewis?
Lewis was on hards. Yep.
And
probably a couple others behind. I can't really remember though.
Yeah, it was him, Lewis. It was him, Lewis, Ocon, Yuki, Lance. Like, so a lot of the people who started further back.
Yeah, Lance.
Well, it's usually the way to go when you're starting further back anyway, is to start on the hards because you can just go longer than everybody else. But
and then you can hope for a safety car in the middle of the race, which I know didn't happen, but that's the thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, and then what was concerning to me, I guess, during that first stint of the race is that, like, if you were looking at the times, like Sergio wasn't pulling out on even Fernando. Like Fernando stayed in that like 5, 6, like 6, 7 seconds behind window, like for a good while there.
Well, from what I understand, they were saying that Perez was trying to preserve the tires early. And I think that was the difference between those guys behind him running the hards, because even Lewis didn't look bad right off the jump with the hards. But once, I guess that car did better with the medium, but Max, they were saying that once he bought those tires in, he could have just kept running. Those hard tires were the best tire to start the race on. Because they were saying because of the rain the night before, that it washed all the treatment off of the street. So there was nothing for that rubber to stick on. So those medium tires were getting abused pretty tough.
Yeah, I mean, it clearly was the strategy to go, because Lewis came from 13th and came from 13th all the way to 6th. So.
Yeah. That definitely worked out for both of them. Well, and like we were talking about, I mean, Max was doing fastest laps early in the race, and he was still doing fastest laps after other people were taking it from him late, like in the 30s, if I remember correctly. He was still getting fastest laps on those same set of hards, and people who had already pitted were getting fastest lap, and he was taking it back. So once that's happening, Perez is not going to be able to get ahead enough to be able to keep up with him once Max goes on the new set, which was late, which obviously the mediums were going to be faster if they didn't have to be on there very long, which they weren't for him.
Yeah.
And so then Max quickly gets up to second place. Then Perez starts complaining about the tires. So from then it's just like, from that point on, I'm just thinking to myself, is like, all right, so how long is it going to take at this point?
So that was lap 20. So Max was a second and a half behind Perez on lap 20. So he went from 9th to 2nd in 20 laps.
Yeah. Yeah. Fernando said he thought he would be up there by lap 25.
And it was 15.
And he beat him this time, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so then you have Carlos gets a 5-second penalty for one of those first sets of stops. He gets a 5-second penalty for pit road speeding while trying to undercut Alonso. So the undercut's gone now.
Yeah, that went
Yeah.
poorly.
Which I was trying to understand how that works. So I was reading that you have to go to 80 kilometers there. Well, it's only an average of 80 kilometers. So you can literally storm in there over at 90 kilometers. And as long as you give yourself enough time to slow down, if you're at 60 kilometers at the end, if you're able to average 80, you're good. So there was like, he could have been closer than it seemed, but he definitely, he locked up and everything when he came in there.
It was a cool piece of video. Yeah, when they went to and it's just smoke everywhere.
Yeah. He was coming in hot.
Just ruined like the 2.2 like pit stop that they had.
I'm glad you brought that up because I've thought a lot about this part, especially with Ocon doing it early in the year. If I, for some reason, was ever an F1 driver, this is probably what I would be bad at. I would probably be like, man, I gotta go. And then I would speed in the pit lane. I think this is exactly what I would be doing when I'm trying to speed up and everything else. This is definitely
an unsafe release.
And just do it at the worst time when you're trying to undercut somebody.
Yeah, with the pressure on, you know the guy is going to be pushing behind you.
Yeah. But I think it actually ended up not affecting him, right? He didn't lose any position at the end of the race for it.
Well, it didn't affect him as much as I thought it would because we didn't know he was just going to be that slow.
That's a fair point.
God, man, you don't cut your guys no slack. They finished the race today, man.
I mean,
on Sunday.
He was slow.
Yeah, he was kind of in a race on his own.
This was
after
not
that.
for them. Did any team excel today, really, other than Red Bull? Were we happy with any other team's pace?
Alpine,
maybe.
They finished is it 8th and 9th or 9th and 10th?
8th and 9th.
8th and 9th.
Yeah, but what didn't Gasly start in? Did Gasly start 5th?
Yeah, but we knew better. They don't have that kind of pace.
They both started in the top. They both started in the top 8, so they really just kind of stayed put.
Well, actually, they kind of. I think if them and was it Kevin Magnussen, they kind of held up everybody for a while. Like Lewis was struggling. He was complaining because he couldn't get around. I think it was Kevin Magnussen.
He was complaining. He's got a lot of LeBron in him sometimes.
When's Lewis not complaining, man?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, this car has been giving that man fits. He has been. I don't think I've ever heard him so negative, like about everything.
Man.
So, but you know, that's what happens when you're used to winning.
You would think Nico's back out there with him the way he's been complaining. So after Carlos gets his penalty, of course Alonso then extends his run because it's like there's no point in pitting then. So that kills the undercut, of course. Then after that, you have George. George comes up to Carlos, passes Carlos pretty easily, who's starting to struggle with tire wear kind of early in that stint, which was
unlike
concerning.
Mm-hmm.
So Carlos then drops to 5th, and he still has that 5-second penalty, which I thought watching the race may become an issue, but it didn't. It didn't become an issue like I thought it would, but so he got lucky. Yeah. He got lucky that it wasn't more insult to injury, but so then you have at this point also Max is still just on a long run on those hard tires.
Mm-hmm.
And
Checo's lap 33.
Checo's out there with brand new medium tires, right? Was it medium tires? No,
he went to the
hard.
He went to the hards. Yeah.
He went to the hard. He started with mediums.
He went on the tire. He went on a newer tire of the old tire that Max was currently on. And Max was able to extend the lead over Sergio on new tires, and he was running them old.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sergio pitted and came out 16 seconds or 17 seconds behind Max or whatever, and knowing that Max had to pit, but it was something like that, right? Between 15 and 17, and he was hoping then to gain so that when Max did have to pit, he'd have a little bit of a lead, and that just never materialized for him.
Yeah, he thought that he thought that he would be able to cut into that gap a little bit, and then when Max pitted, he would have to then catch him.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought that he would maybe have enough pace in there to hold him off.
I mean, in theory, it makes sense.
I mean, that's
but Max just
that's
dominated
what
him
should
this
happen.
weekend. Yeah,
That's what should happen, and it's definitely what should happen if you start on the pole and your teammate starts at ninth.
yeah.
It's definitely what should happen. But I think when Max ended up pitting, he was then 18 seconds ahead of Perez, and he started out at 16 seconds ahead of Perez, so he gained 2 seconds in that time that Perez pitted.
Because that was, and he came out, it was under 2 seconds. He wasn't in DRS range yet, but he was right there.
So lap 43, they tell Max after he pits, he'll be 1.7 behind Checo. And then by lap 44, Perez was behind Max 18.3 seconds.
Yeah.
So that was no time. No time at all.
Yeah. So what happened, Max ends up pitting with like 11 laps to go. When he came out of the pits, he was 1.3 seconds behind Checo. That's it. So
you already knew the shark was in the water. The blood was in the water.
Sergio hadn't built the lead that he wanted when Max brought out new softs on him. I'm sorry, new mediums on him there. Ooh.
So that not even was like 1 lap later after that, Max just easily goes by Checo.
Mm-hmm.
Sets fastest lap, just like as he passes, like after he passes him. So at that point, the race is just over. It's just like all we got to do is just get to the finish.
Honestly, I really wanted to see Checo fight him, but I think that they both know that it is a very long season, and if Checo was to do that now, it would be a tough rest of the season because they were playing real nice. Like there was a lot of space in between them on the pass. It seemed like he blocked Max on the first attempt, but in that next corner, he didn't have the grip or the speed to come out of there.
And he knew that too. Like if the tires were more even, I bet even this early in the season, he would have tried to defend more, but it's one of those situations where you don't have it. Like the other guy has the better tire. Like it's not going to work.
Go around him.
Yeah, just put yourself in a spot where technically he has to go around you, like you said, and then it's just over. So I'm okay with how he handled it. He didn't really have anything else to do.
Yeah.
I don't even think it was a tire issue. I just think he wasn't fast. He just wasn't fast.
Yeah.
Just wasn't as quick as Max. Because I mean,
all weekend it showed.
Sergio is notoriously good on tires.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, and I don't think that he had just all of a sudden figured out how to not be good on tires. I think he just wasn't as fast as Max, and at that point there's no point in trying to fight that. Because I mean, you can fight somebody when you're maybe about 0.3 of a second or something like slower than somebody, but when Max is that much faster than you on brand new tires, it's like there's no defending that. Like you can't. There's no defense for that.
Well, mark this spot right here, because if Max just reels off like 5 or 6 wins in a row now, and he's clearly faster than Sergio in every race, like has Red Bull turned down one car, or is Sergio not prepared for this? Like mark this, where like everyone's talking about Sergio maybe being able to, well, maybe it's more me than anybody else talking about Sergio trying to win the championship, but this could get real dangerous for Sergio's title chances like soon. If this starts happening 3, 4, 5 times in a row, it's going to be over.
Max saw y'all's tweets. He got sick of it.
He'll use his Twitter still.
He was feeling some kind of way though. They were booing him after the race, and he said, "I'm gonna take my trophy home. I'm taking my trophy home, and they got to go to their house." I was like, God. Sound like he was talking about they got to go to a trailer.
I heard that. It's that, and when he won and he got off his car and he bends down and points at the one. Like, that was the corniest shit I've ever seen. I hated that so much when he did that.
Yeah, don't do my boy
That
Checo
was
like that.
that was kind of corny though. It was
Like you're the one who changed your number. Like, yes, we understand that you like the number 1 and you think you're 1. Like, don't be doing that. But that's a Max thing. We already don't like him anyway, so just piling on now.
Yeah.
So yeah. So Max goes by, just checks out a little bit. So and then Max just puts it on cruise control and just that's the end of that.
Because he stretched that thing out though. He stretched that lead out pretty quickly.
Yeah, that was a statement type of thing. I think he just so I think he just wanted to make a statement this weekend, and he kind of did that. But
he did, yep. And he won from 3rd last year too, so he was comfortable coming from not being on pole. Obviously, in the fastest car that helps too. But 2 years in a row, he didn't get the pole and he won easily.
Yeah.
Because what was this? This race was 57 laps, right?
57 laps.
Mm-hmm. So on lap 56, he set a new fastest lap. Yeah. So he was making a statement there at the end to let everybody know.
Well, we know that's what Max does. Max is not going to coast. He's not going to be like, oh, I got this win. He's going to go crazy on him all the way to the end.
He's not going to let George. He's not going to let George steal him fastest laps from him anymore. Pitting with
for sauce at the end.
Hey, I love it. Toto said, I'm going to get a point.
Yeah. At least keep them from getting it for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But even before that, you had about around 6 laps to go. You had a good battle a battle for 6 with Gasly, Leclerc, and Hamilton for a little bit there. Gasly was trying hard to hold on to that 6th place, but I just think he didn't have the tires or the car at that point.
Yeah.
But it was so off at one point, like with about 5 laps to go, all 3 of those cars were only covered by 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So it came down to that, and then so Charles ended up passing him first, and then Lewis goes by, and then Lewis ends up going by Charles pretty easily.
Yeah, that wasn't a great look.
At that point, Lewis is going pretty strong. He didn't quite stay out as long as Max, but he put his mediums on for like 20 laps to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was pretty quick too. So that puts Lewis into P5, but unfortunately he's still 14 seconds behind Carlos, which ends up and that's without the 5-second penalty. So and that's with 3 laps to go. So he has to make up 9 seconds to get there to get that 5th spot in 3 laps. That's a lot. That's a tall task.
Yeah. But like you said, I mean, 13th to 6th, I mean, that is pretty big.
13th to 6th is on a street course like that is a really
hell of a weekend.
Yeah.
It's a really good drive. It's a really good drive for him.
Where did George finish up? I don't have the results in front of me.
George is 4th.
Okay.
4th.
Gotcha.
So that's pretty much how the race ended. So you ended up having same podium we had first weekend. Max winning, Sergio 2nd, and Fernando coming in 3rd. Fernando had kind of a pretty lonely race.
It was a lot of lonely out there.
I mean, he was able to watch Stroll pass somebody on the big screen and compliment him over the radio.
Yeah, and he's sniffing flowers and such. I mean, he's having a great day.
Yeah, but you know what? He still finished 25 seconds behind the Red Bulls.
It was 45 last week, so
hey,
it's an improvement.
Okay, saving tires.
Insane. That is insane.
Yeah, so not exactly. I mean, did we expect anything crazy? Because last year was kind of boring as well. There was a safety car last year, from what I understand, though. So I was kind of hoping for that, but Miami wasn't exactly known as the most exciting circuit. So we got through another one. It's all right.
I think they said this is the 14th or 17th F1 race that has no DNFs.
14th, yeah. 14th out of 1,080 or something. I sent you that.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But good for Nick DeVries. You finished the race. You're my man.
Yeah.
So going
him and Logan Sargent.
Hey, speaking of Nick DeVries, I love a rumor. I read a rumor. Now it's on IG, so who knows how real it is. I
Oh,
could have typed
God.
it up. But it's rumored that if things don't improve, DeVries could be replaced during the summer break with Daniel Ricciardo.
Oh God. Who told you that?
Probably F1troll.com or some shit. Or something
It's like a Daniel Ricciardo fan site. Looks like Ricardo Goat F1.
Yeah.
Hey, Danny Ricciardo's doing just fine being Red Bull's spokesperson, making bank. Right.
Yeah, if I was Ricardo, I would not want that seat at all. Like, what, you want me to go to the back of the pack? Great, I'll finish 16th for the rest of the season instead of sitting here on the pit wall smiling at the camera every week.
I thought he was more like of a mascot than a spokesperson, but
yeah,
legit.
Not wrong.
Legit.
He could go out there and put a bull costume on every week and he'd do it. So getting through the rest of the points finishers, you had George coming in at 4th, Carlos Sainz 5th, Lewis Hamilton 6th. You had Charles finishing in 7th after him. 8th and 9th, you got the Alpines. You got Gasly finishing ahead of Ocon. And in the last points position, you got good old K-Mag, who started 4th and ended up keeping that car in the
What
points.
a drive.
Yeah.
Ended up keeping that car in the points and ended up keeping Yuki in 11th for like the 30th time this like the 30th
Poor
time
guy,
this,
man.
Death, taxes, and Yuki finishes 11th. Exactly.
So that was the Yuki was right there behind him too.
It was a race at the end, yeah.
He was right there behind him too, but there's no way K-Mag's gonna give that spot to Yuki at that point, give those points to Yuki at the end of the race.
Yeah.
Did we get a Yuki yell during this race? I can't remember.
I didn't hear anything.
I don't know.
I got to go back and check the tape.
Yeah. We got to make that like a sound drop at some point.
All right. Driver of the day. Who y'all like?
I mean, I hate to do it, but I would definitely have to say Max.
Okay.
I think it's easy.
I know. I've tried really hard not to pick Max when he won races, but it's just Max this time. So
yeah, it's easily Max, man.
Mm-hmm.
What he did with 45, putting 45 laps on those tires, man, it's just
setting fastest laps, yeah,
and keeping that pace and just not going off the track, not losing it and hitting the wall or anything on those old tires. It's just that was just. I mean, you can't help but give it to him this weekend. He was just too tough on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, and the garbage truck driver of the day? Who we got? There's some options.
Man, well, I can't give it to anybody who wrecked this week because everybody kept it pretty clean this week. But I don't let Lonnie go first.
I'm going to give it to Carlos again.
God, I was really.
Hey,
I was thinking about it, but I didn't want to be the one.
I didn't want to give it to Logan because but he was just dirt slow this weekend. And they kept talking about how is this hometown race. No, I'm changing it. I'm giving it to Logan.
He was gonna be mine. I mean, I love Logan. He was
Come on, man. That was his home Grand Prix.
That's why I hated for him.
He grew up in Fort Lauderdale, they said.
Yeah.
Right down the street.
Yeah.
And he was just, oh man, he was just like dirt slow. Like it seemed like all weekend.
Yeah.
Doing qualifying, it was even worse. But to give him a little break for qualifying was close. It was pretty close. When he was knocked out, it wasn't like he was far off pace. I think it was in the tenths of seconds from him not getting in. So it wasn't awful, but yeah, with all the straight line speed of that car and he's not able to do much with it, I can understand that. Mm-hmm. I was going to give it to Checo personally, though. This was his race to make a statement, and he did not.
You're right.
He did not rise to the occasion at all. Mm-hmm. You got to think, man, your only deal is there's only one car you're fighting, and he's 9 cars behind you, or 8 cars behind you. you would think that he should be able to win that race. Y'all in the same car.
Yeah. It was not a good look for Sergio this weekend.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even close. And I think that's what makes it worse. It wasn't like it was a close finish where Max passed him on the last lap kind of deal. Like, no. He mopped the floor with him.
Yeah, well, remember what Christian Horner said earlier in the race when they brought him on for the interview? He said, yeah, our calculations say that Max will be able to catch him, or like they'll be battling with 3 laps remaining. And even they were way off on that. Like,
I don't think anybody saw those tires going, 40 laps, 40-some laps?
Yeah.
45 is what Max put on him.
Yeah, and they said from lap 20 to 40, he was just burning them up. And I don't know if it's just because of, all the technical issues with the hard tire and using the having fuel in the car versus being able to put the mediums on with the lighter car and it working better. But however it was, they got it right for Max. That is for sure. And he just made it look easy.
Yeah. Driver of the day. That's fair. All right, we got we do have a week off, which is unfortunate. I mean, I want to race every weekend. I'm definitely, I don't know if that means Lonnie hates my kind of fan, but I just want to race every weekend. Run it back every week. But I know we got Monza in 2 weeks, where that's apparently where Mercedes is going to bring some real stuff.
They're saying some big upgrades, but
it's going to be a brand new car. It's going to be a black Red Bull. That's what it's going to be.
From what George says, don't expect any miracles.
Tempering expectations already.
Yeah.
George being real.
It's more that, yeah, exactly.
George said that he's been in the sim with it, and it looks good, but it's not on the track yet, so they don't know.
George doesn't trust it. George is like, all right,
the porpoise's gonna be back in 2 weeks. That's the only thing.
Or George could be like, "Damn, this car looks fast," and everybody's gonna laugh at him again, like they did at the beginning of the season.
Yep, I remember that. That's a good clip. Whew.
Yeah.
But all right,
so
Monza's usually fun.
So Max, with the win, Max extends his lead over Sergio by 14 points now. He's 14 points ahead of Sergio, and Sergio is 30 points ahead of third place Alonso. So
yeah, that's gonna keep growing, I think.
Yeah. Red Bull currently is 122 points ahead of second place. So
oh my god,
yeah, bro. Are you thinking they're 1-2 in almost in every race?
Yeah, I get. Who's second? Is it Aston in second?
Mercedes.
Yeah, it's Aston in second. Aston
is it
Red Bull? Red Bull has 224 points. Aston has 102. Mercedes 96.
Oh yeah, so
that's your top.
Oh, so it's close. Okay,
3.
Yeah, because that's just Fernando getting podiums every time because Lance is being Lance. So Fernando's carrying.
He could have got garbage truck driver of the day
from the qualifying.
Yeah. He started in 18th though, so I'd try to give him a little bit of grace.
Yeah.
But
that would have been a Saturday thing for me if I made Lance the garbage truck driver of the day.
Yeah. So
we got 2 weeks, fellas.
Next race we're in Italy, so home race for Ferrari. It's literally one of their test tracks.
Oh no,
Charles Rex.
Well, I mean, so far, think about the last couple races. We've given Carlos the garbage truck driver of the day, and Charles has been wrecking. So that's not boding well for them heading into their home race. So that's not great.
The fans are going to be so angry there.
Yes, they are.
The
flares they usually play with, they're going to throw.
Throw them onto the track.
It's going to be hilarious. I can't wait. All right, so we'll catch y'all next time, and we'll review what do they call it? The Emilia Romagna GP.
Oh, so, look at you practicing.
Yeah, he's practicing that in Azerbaijan.
I'm not doing that one. That's the only one I'm not doing. All right, so we'll catch y'all next time for another race review.
Yeah, man. Make sure y'all go and support Chipotle with Haas.
Yes. God, that's such a good photo.
So bad.
You go check K-Mag going through the drive-through and
drive-through Chipotle. Gosh, America. All right, man. I'll talk to y'all later.
All right, y'all.
All right, y'all.
All right.